Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are across this great wide world of ours. I know yesterday I had said something on my video about going live for a bit, and let me get a drink of my tea because my throat was a little bit sore this morning, but I think it had to do more with the allergies than anything else. But the reason I'm doing this video today is yesterday I was out and about. I went I had my teeth cleaned, and then I also went and did some stuff by um, Starbucks and was cleaning some files and working on my next project of Native Americans creating a Delphi study. And one of my friends, when I was in Starbucks, came up to me and saw me and started talking to me. And was asking me how I was doing. And I said, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking that. And the point that I make out of this is what we're trying to do here, and I'm just trying to adjust the camera, is trying to figure out where life heads or where life goes in life. And then what we try to do is, when I was thinking about this as well, is create goals and objectives in life. And I'm big on goals and objectives where things are where you need to be. And especially after this process of finishing the PhD, getting a PhD in psychology, I realized that what I need to do myself is to be diligent in my efforts or where I see things going. But I also need to create this, what I call my happy place, or my area of what I create happiness. And this, just to this, folks, is really that we have to look at things in a light or in a perspective, or you might say kaleidoscope type of atmosphere, where you see things in a positive light. Like I said, on the way home yesterday, I took the bus, and why I was taking the bus home, because I didn't know if I was going to get Novocaine. I thought I might have had a cavity. Didn't want to be driving if I was under some kind of influence of something. And the dental office is not that far from where I live at. So, and then I thought, well, it'll give me a chance to get out, do a little bit of walking as well. But as I was coming back home, the buses were running on an irregular schedule. And part of the issue that they were running on the irregular schedule was the fact that, it was Saturday, and there were people not, they just didn't they had more buses than they had employees. And this is a case in point that happens sometimes, especially Saturday. It turned to be a nice day. You're in towards the end of July. A lot of people think about vacations before kids go back to school in August. So really the issue, or the foundation of all this, stems from the fact that you have more buses or more routes than you do have bus drivers. So, but getting back to my point was that this was still quite early in the morning. It was like, I would estimate about like 9:15, 9 o'clock. And like I said, I could tell the buses were running irregular. I have the app on my phone. And while I was looking at this or watching it, then I timed it right while I was sitting in Starbucks. Because when I got out of the dental office, I had like an hour It did take me long. I was out of the chair by 7:15, 7:20 in the morning because it was early. I got in the first appointment of the day, got there early. He was able to get me in and then moved on from there. But the point that I wanted to make about this, I was just going home due to the fact that the buses were running like 45 minutes behind. People were loading on the bus, being agitated, angry, upset, and they were like yelling at the bus driver. And in essence, it's really not the bus driver's problem. It really is the organization or the company's problem. The guy was, he was there working. But then when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, you know, how this is going to, or this issue of the buses being like going to affect these people's lives. And then I got to thinking that the goal here is you don't let things ruin your flow or your positive flow in life. Sure, there's that old cliche, when you make lemons lemonade. Um, the philosophy here is quite a few of the people that are getting on the bus, they were getting lemons and they were not making the lemonade. They were just spelling the lemons and not coming up with a plan or adjusting our plans accordingly. And that's something that can't be easily taught as well. It's something that you have to make a commitment to say this or that or that or this, or this situation is not going to make the best of it. It goes back to what even myself, when I look at things, I've been working on trying to get a contract with the books. And when I finally got the contract, it was, I don't have the contract yet, but I have somebody that's interested in the books, is that I'm doing my as I call it, due diligence. In other words, I'm not willing to sacrifice someone I want to life. It's the same thing with this study I did on water quality on the reservations. Even though I had a hard time sometimes getting people to sign up for it, I still persevered about it and still reached out to people to make the contacts that are affordable to make this study possible. Now, my next project that I'm going to work on, and I'm just working on the reading. I just finished the consent form earlier last week when I was not feeling well. Especially, I felt better on that Thursday night. So, I started working on that Thursday. I'm going to do a Delphi study concerning where tribal leaders see things going in it, and then the next 3 to 5 years. Sorry about the interruption there, but the point is you don't let things ruin your situation. In other words, you persevere, you do your due diligence, and you don't let things happen that are going to have an impact on your life. So it's, for instance, I know my roommate at some point during this video, or maybe towards the end of the video, he'll probably start. He likes to play his guitar, so when that happens, I will cut the video, and then. But there again, that is what I am not, doing my due diligence, because I made a commitment to tell people I would try to be online today, even though I'm behind. I wanted to do it at 1. It's just that I got behind on some things and got on here a little bit later than I anticipated, but that was okay. So the goal here, always, folks, is to take and make the best of the opportunity when you get a chance of it. In other words, I have another saying I say, they always call zig and zag. And then I've told a couple of people before when I've said something about that, or I interview clients, or I've had somebody about my side work about trying to get these books published. I'd like to do a conference in online conference. I was going to do it in person, but I think I got to do the little steps first before I can do the big steps. But I'm going to do this online on Zoom, October 28th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. But the point here is that what I was trying to say is saying it calls zigzag, and I've told people before, when people zig, I zag. When people zag, I zig. So in other words, I adjust with the situation or the issue that is ahead of me, and it's not a rocket science, but it goes back to one mindset. What is your mindset? It's like I told my children that one day, one of them was complaining about something, and I said it all boils down to what is the intent. What is the intent on things? It's like there's a lot of YouTube videos out there that'll still what I call intellectual property, and then post it on their own thing. That happens on Twitter. It happens on Instagram. Happens on quite a few of them. So, but the point is, one of my children was getting upset, and I said, what is the intent? What is your intent? What are you trying to do? And is the intent, if the intent, and like I was telling them, is to make money off the video, then you lose, because really the intent is not necessarily to make money, but is to get the information out. And I think this is where like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, a few of these have failed, because people can say, oh, I can make money off my videos, or I can make money off of streaming this. But is that the intent? And if that intent is to make money off of it, you lose, because the intent's not there. If the intent is to inform and educate, you win. And you'll say, well, I'm not making any money off that. But it comes down to credentials or your credibility of things, because if the intent is to make money, you're basically frauding yourself and you're frauding others. So it boils down, what is the intent? Is the intent to educate and inform, or is it to make money? And it's the same thing I told some people, because somebody got scammed out of money, and they were so bitter about it. And I thought, what you do from that mistake is you move forward and you grow from that. In other words, you don't necessarily blame yourself for it, but you can. But there again, that's your mindset, is that I learned from this, and I won't make that mistake again. It's just like I tell my children again, there's every day that I make mistakes, and that doesn't mean that I'm any better than anybody else. But the point here is that you learn and you grow from it. It then goes back to what I said before. What is the intent? Is the intent to learn and grow, or is it to, make money? And I think that we've lost focus on that. Same thing with political issues right now. We're so bipolar, conservatives, liberals. What is the intent? What are we trying to accomplish? And I think that's where people miss the message, is that the intent is not there. So when the intent is not there, and in essence, when the intent is to defraud somebody, then that's the intent. So that's part of the issue there. And the other issue that I think is important that I'd like to discuss is follow your passions. You hear this from Tony Robbins, and a few of the other gurus of political reformation, is you follow your passions. And the other one, Steve Harvey says that. And the one thing that I like about Steve Harvey, he's got that video called Jump. And I recommend watching that to anybody, because really you're gonna you're gonna he once you jump, you can get bruises, you're gonna get hurt, and it's an analogy with all this stuff. It's like for myself is what is my passion? What do I want to prove with stuff? But on the other hand, I like where I'm working at, and I know I'm making a difference. So the stuff I'm doing right now is just a side, what I call the side gig, just to help others as well, because it helps people learn and grow. My intent was, and there again, my what is my intent? My intent was if I finished this PhD and I made a commitment to God that I would, if I finished this intent, that I would help others to better their lives. And that's the issue itself. What is that intent? What what do you want to achieve in that? And then there again, when I started talking in the beginning, what is your goals and objectives you wanted to achieve? A lot of people, and even me in the beginning, when I started this whole process of PhD, where do I want to take this? What do I want to do with it? And even though I was taking the classes, where do I want to do? What do I want to achieve with it? Because there again, what do you want to achieve? Where do you want to go with this? And this goes back to what I've seen this too. Denzel Washington say, when you're climbing the ladder of success, as you're climbing, you grab someone along and take them along for the journey as well, because you don't know where it's going, and that's part of life itself too. Is you go up a rung, take some with you. Go up a rung, take somebody with you. Go up a rung and take someone. It's almost like mentoring and coaching as well. Learned that too, and I'm part of that. That asset of learning comes from the fact that I learned quite a bit of it from my PhD, and also being a Toastmasters and being in leadership within Toastmasters. But there again, I've came across what I call a paradigm in life, or where do I see Toastmasters going? And sometimes I have to step back and think, where do I want to see this? Where do I want to go with this? How do I go with this? Because if we continue going down that same line, what happens is we have a tendency to move in what I call a complacence role. And I see that with quite a bit of people. Now, a lot of life, they're content on where they are in life. And I see this, and if I take a bus and go downtown, I can see people that are just content where they are. But then on the other hand, I see people that are homeless, and they do whatever it takes to get food on the plate, which I have an ethical issue with that, because in essence, they're part of the problem and not part of the solution. And I think that's an issue that where there again, affordable housing, get the people off the street and give them 3 meals a day. Though it may not be the right thing or the bad thing, the point is, if you start stealing, you start robbing from people. The intent there is you're not really bettering yourself. You're only either fixing your drug addiction, or you're trying to figure out a solution. And part of that solution too is that a lot of these people that are into that, what I call that paradigm of life with that, tend to be less than high school educated, and really are but are lost, or they have this feeling of hopelessness. So there again, there's that old cliche saying, if you want to kill the vicious snake, the best way to kill the vicious snake is go for the head. And the situation here is not necessarily is to help these people help them with their addiction and help them better their lives by getting them off the street, getting them 3 meals a day, and getting them the proper education and the proper counseling they need to better their lives. Because I would reason to say for almost 90%, if not 95%, the people don't like the situation they're in, but they feel hopeless. And like I said, I've read this, I've studied this also on reservations as well, where the issue is quite more prevalent than it is in the inner city. I always see these people talking about the inner city. This feeling of hopelessness and abandonment occurs at a very prevalent level on Native American uh, reservations. And with the post-COVID, a lot of these reservations were counting on the casino to pay for their social services. But when the casinos all closed, and then we hit the online gambling form, that was revenue that a lot of these reservations lost, and they have not yet recouped those funds for their social services. So this is a dilemma and a problem that needs to be addressed sooner down the line as it is. So anyway, I'm almost sounding like I'm teaching a sermon today, but it's an issue that it goes back to what I've said. How do I change my mindset? How do I make myself happy? And the first step is that is just the typical mindset or getting your mind into an order. And then, like I said, it's not an easy matter because, like I said, I struggle with some of this stuff sometimes on an hourly, on a daily basis as well, because it is what it is. And I hate that saying, but it is what it is. So it's the point of the matter is. So anyway, these are just some food for thoughts. I know I went live with this. The point I wanted to talk about too is I am doing this conference on relationships, October 28th, 8 a.m., 5 p.m. Eastern time zone. So if this is something that you feel important to, I know I got friends all over the world. So this is something that you feel to please join in. I'm trying to work up some really great speakers. Also, any vendors that might want to sponsor or any kind of vendors want to please reach out to me on my email. And that's always available on my website, bthomasmillerpsych@gmail.com. Also, feel free to reach out to me concerning any of my books as well. One book that I finished was one of the earlier books was 15th and 19th century Native Americans, a mindset. That was one of the first books I ever wrote, and the other one that I wrote previously, a little bit after that, was Empowerment and Change. This goes back to almost 5-6 years ago when I was starting into this fever of writing. Also, I'm still looking for that. I got to find it. Is my Antiquities Act that I did put paper on, James R. Garfield. Antiquities Act of 1906 by Teddy Roosevelt was a piece. But if I found the writing on that, which is around somewhere in all my boxes, I would probably be amazed about the basic issues of my writing and my writing skills back then as well, because that's another issue that I always tell people, that my writing improves because the fact of the matter, it grows and it metamorphoses over the years. So anyway, that is the point on that. And finally, I do have books, self-published books on Amazon. They're under B. Thomas Miller and also Boy Thomas Miller. I got to get a hold of Amazon or Kindle or whoever is in charge of that and get it all back to Boy Thomas Miller, PhD, because that is where really they want to be. And when I was writing, I was into this exploratory stage if I wanted to have a writing name as B. Thomas Miller, because some of these writers do that as well. But I thought, I want to be more genuine and sincere. And that's my final point too, is, as your age and your writing age, you tend to be more grateful in things in life. So I'm very grateful for all my viewers. I'm grateful for all my time that I have spent with you. And though sometimes the audiences are low, it's still, my goal is always, goes back to the intent. What is the intent? My intent is always to educate and inform viewers, not necessarily to make money out of this. So if I do make money out of it, it's great, it's fine. I'm grateful for that, because it's just the intent is to learn and to grow out of this. So once I get this book finished on Native Americans, or Delphi study Native Americans, and um, where they see leadership, seeing where tribes grow in 3 to 5 years, I'm going to shift gears and write a book on intent and the purpose of intent. So, which will be more of a philosophy, psychological aspect of that, because sometimes I like to vary things as well. But I think there's a big need for that purpose as well. Is what is the intent? What is your intent in life? So that is the case in point. Anyway, like I said, feel free to reach out to me and to always come up with any questions. Like I said, as far as the online conference, it will be televised on Zoom. It will also be available. Early registrations $50. Um, after September 1st, the cost will be $75. And you might be saying, well, why is the cost a little bit higher? It's because it's the quality. It's not so much the quantity; it's the quality. And this is one of the things I feel I'm a very expert at. And then I'm trying to line up a few other speakers that I've reached out in the last couple of weeks that are experts in the field of relationships, and as well as to what's going on and how to make things better in your life. And like I said, there it goes back again to the intent, and also to your whole mindset. And like I said, the goal of my relationship conference is not necessarily to make money, but if that's good, that's great. But the intent of this is to inform and educate people how to better their lives. So that is the goal and the objective in anything I do out of life, is the intent. And there again, goes back to what I've said before, is I think that's where we've lost our focus, lost our concept, because really we're not the intent. Is the intent to better people's lives, or is the intent to make money? And I think we've lost that focus. And like I said, I see this in leaders, I see it in politicians, I see it generally all around the people, like on YouTube, and like I said, Twitter. I hate to be redundant about that, but that's the point that I'm trying to say is, are we being the best we can be on this, or are we being more redundant to make people's lives matter? Because what is it? Our goal is to always make people's lives better, and not the intent is to make money or to receive a paycheck. And like I said, I see this sometimes on a daily basis downtown when I'm just observing people. That what is her intent? When somebody robs somebody, what is the intent? Is the intent to when you hear it on the news and people say, well, there was a robbery, it's a rash of robberies, say like in Clifton. What is that intent of that newscast to say that? The intent there is to scare people and create fear mongering, which is not the intent. The intent is, instead of creating fear mongering and worry, the intent will be to, let's solve this problem, instead of why are people doing this? Because they're hungry, they're poor, they have no other solution. There's a feeling of hopelessness. It's drug related. And in each case, there again, it's more about what the intent is and how to solve the intent, and not necessarily vilify the people that were there. So anyway, that is the point that I'm trying to make. So anyway, the point I want to say is, when we do this, the goal is to always make sure that we have the proper intent to make a difference in life. So with that, like I said, to wrap this up, I'm going to wrap it up very, very fast, or within a minute, is that, first off, I have this seminar October 28th. It'll be online. Be on Zoom. It'll be on relationships. Like I said, the cost is $50. After September 1st, that cost rises to September the 1st. So please sign up. The second thing, I do have books available. If you watch this video, you'll listen to the end of it, then what will happen is, and you say the word of the day, and the word of today is relationship. If you watch a video today, like and subscribe, leave a comment, say Dr. B. A lot of people like to call me Dr. B. Dr. B, I really liked what your message was today. I saw the word of the day was relationship. I will send you a copy of Empowerment and Change, absolutely free, which is about a 110-page book. Very easy to read. It's not very like a scholarly type of piece of work. It's just something that anybody can really read. But it's loaded with a lot of information. It's actually got accredited by this New York accreditation critics as one of the books out there, and I have a lot of people calling me about that book, wanting to get it publicized, and I haven't done anything with it. A lot of things take the back burner, but that's the way things are with me in my life. So anyway, folks, enjoy watching my video. Please like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll talk to you next week. Talk to you real soon.